dancing clown. Georgie, meet Pennywise.
So now let's see, even in the learning center, when you go to the learning, you can see more beginner lessons. Now, let's get started. I've already created a base pattern for the top. Now I'm just adding the crescent line just to get my band, and I'm adding thickness 20 to increase the thickness of my band. Now that's what I did there. Now I'm just going to add internal lines with my pencil. Now this is just to point out where I want my zips to be. So that's just what I did there, because from my reference picture, there were like lines going across, so I just thought, why don't I do zips instead? So now I'm just trying to increase the length of my sleeves, because I'm doing them slowly, as you can see, because I don't want it to just intersect with the arms. So I'm just trying to get the perfect length that suits me here. So I think I'm okay with that. So now I'm trying to demarcate the sleeves, because I'm trying to create like 2 puff sleeves. The upper section I want to be like really big. So now I'm going to just add internal lines with my pencil, like I did. Edit pattern, cut and sew. I'm going to cut and sew them. Then I'm also going to add internal lines to the upper section of my puff. Then I'm going to add fullness points just to open them up. So now if you notice, I'm going to add my internal lines. Yeah, so I added use fullness points. So I'm just increasing the puff just to make it like a really big puff. And those points, I just made them curve points, just to smoothen it out. Then that tiny band there is just so that make it tighter, so that the sleeve can have more like gathers underneath. So that's just what I'm doing. I'm trying to increase this section there of the sleeve. That's the lower section of the sleeve. I'm trying to increase the length because I want that like folded effect. Then I'm also adding the flare for the lower section of the sleeve. Now the reason why the sleeve is not also falling is because I added a bit of elastic at the edge of the sleeve. Now I'm creating my skirt pattern. Now I use my ellipse tool, then I also use the ellipse tool to create the internal circle. So I'm just trying to remove it from the, and because it was intersecting, so I'm just trying to like pull it out so that it doesn't intersect. Then I'm trying to sew so that everything can just relax. Now if you notice, it's not full yet because I'm still going to change the particle, not the particle distance yet. I'm going to change the property editor. I think it was twisting at the back, so I just corrected that by changing the sewing. So now I'm trying to change my particle property editor so that my skirt can be fuller. Then I'm just trying to take my band up a bit. If you notice, I froze it so that it doesn't just drop. Now you notice that my sleeves has like pink edges. I'm also going to do that to my band also. Now just so that my sleeve edges are not falling and dropping over. So that's almost like adding an interface. I use seam taping there for my sleeve edges. So now I'm creating another inner skirt pattern because I just want to give it that like fullness, and I want to also add ruffles at the lower section of the skirt. So now the internal circle skirt, so that's what I'm trying to sew. Now I use set sub layer. So if you notice, I use set sub layer so that it can tell the software that this layer is on top of this layer, so that they're not just fighting with each other and not relaxing. So that if you notice, the upper section is not intersecting with the lower section, using set sub layer. So I think that's okay. Then I'm trying to create my band for my neckline. If you notice also from the reference, it has like ruffles around the neck, so that's why I'm just creating, like, I want mine to like look like this, like a bit more fashionable. So I'm just creating like almost like a turtleneck for the neckline, and I'm just sewing them together, and I'm going to add internal lines so that I can add my ruffles in on each step of those internal lines. So I'm just trying to adjust my band for my neck, then I'm adding my internal lines. This is where I'm going to sew my ruffles. So I'm creating my ruffles using my rectangle. I'm trying to get the length I want, and I'm sewing them step by step. And I'm also going to, yes, I'm trying to increase the beads. Then I think it was a bit stiff, so I changed the fabric property, and I think I changed the fabric type also. I changed the fabric type. So now I'm just trying to sew the remaining. I created like 4, this is the third one. Then I'm just putting them on each step. So I'm going to do the same for the back. I just copied and pasted for the back instead of redoing it again. Then I'm just sewing it also for the back section here. Then I think that's okay. Then I'm just adjusting the armhole for my sleeves, for my back pattern and front pattern, sorry. Then I think it was intersecting with the neck there. I'm just trying to adjust it so you can see those lines coming down. That's set sub layer. I'm trying to tell the software, like I said, I'm trying to tell 3D software that this layer is on top of this layer, this layer is on top of that layer. So now I'm trying to create the zips now. So if you notice, when I created it's pulling, so I actually added seam taping afterwards. Then I just froze it first. That's why you can see that it's blue. Then I added some points where I want the zips to stop instead of it coming all the way down, because I noticed that I was pulling a bit. So now I'm just trying to adjust the zip. I went to edit zipper just to change the type of zip, you know, make it metal, change the slider, change the color, made the black. I changed the stripes to black. Now I'm just going to do the same for the other side. Then I'm trying to use my move tool to adjust. I think that zipper was trying to frustrate me, but you know, I tried to adjust it. So I'm trying to reduce the size also. Yeah, I think it was 5, so I reduced it like 3. So now I'm just trying to create for the other section, adding the other zips. I'm using my points just to indicate where I want my zips to stop. Then I'm going to put then I think I was checking the lines. Then I'm going to put the zips also. Then I decided to hide the stopper there. I didn't want it to show. Then I'm also going to use my move tool just to bring down the zip. So I'm trying to use my move tool to adjust the zip, and I'm bringing it down just to open the zip, you know. So that then I'll simulate. Then when I simulate, it's going to open up. So I added seam tape into the lower section there. You can see it's pink also, the band. So I'm just adding ruffles to the lower circle skirt. That's the inner one, the inner circle skirt. I'm just trying to add like ruffles. So I'm sewing them together now. I just froze it. I like freezing some patterns so that they're not just intersecting everywhere, and you know, just so that to make it more stable, so you don't have to do like double work. So that's just what I'm doing now. I just froze them, so I'm trying to concentrate more on the ruffle. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm trying to increase the length of my ruffle, so I think I'm okay with that. Okay, I think that's okay. So now I'm trying to create the zipper for the back, because obviously I want to be functional so she can be able to put it on. So I'm just trying to create the zip for the back. And I wanted to come down to the band also. I would have brought it a little bit down, but since it's not really a very like full length dress, I think I can just stop the zipper at the back of the band. She can still be able to put it on, since it's not so, it's leather, like more like a stretchy leather, so it's not so tight and stiff. So I'm trying to create my buttons. I'm just placing my buttons. I'm using my buttons icon, so I'm just creating my buttons. So I think right now I was just trying to change the length. I wanted it to be a little bit shorter. So now I'm trying to create my buttons. Now I'm changing the color. Now I'm trying to look for the size with changing the size of my button. So I think I'm still going to change the type of button. I think I'm not really trying to change that button. I don't really like the look of this one. I think that zip was misbehaving, so I'm trying to adjust it. Just trying to adjust it right there. So now I think I'm looking for the button. I went to the library, so now okay, I think I like this one. Then I just increased it also. So now I'm just changing the color of my fabric. Now I'm just changing the color. Then if you notice that it's transparent, what I did was to reduce the opacity of the sleeves and the neck piece, the neck ruffles. I reduced the opacity. So I'm just changing the color. So I'm adding some spikes to my band there. Now I used a button also to add spikes. Then if you want to add more spikes, I think I added a bit of more spikes, but I think I didn't show that here. I think I added like few more importing as a trim. Yes, I think that's what I did. There I was just trying to see if it was going to work on the arms, and it didn't really work out, so I just decided to forfeit that. So now I'm trying to get the pattern for my skirts. That's the entire outfit. So now I'm using normal maps. I downloaded a leather normal map, so I'm just trying to tweak some things just to make it look more intense. So now I'm just trying to increase the intensity of my normal map, and I'm trying to increase the gloss, the metalness, just give it that shine. I'm just trying to make some adjustments. Like when I mentioned about the transparency of the sleeve and the neckline, I mentioned opacity, but right here it's called alpha. I just remember it's called alpha, so you can reduce the alpha just to make it transparent. So I'm just trying to adjust my sleeve puff, properties. I'm just trying to change the entire properties of the puff just to make it puffy, but not so hard that it loses the folds. Now this is in Photoshop because I want to create the makeup of the face. So I'm using my soft brush, as you can see. Now I'm working on a different layer from my main layer of the face. I'm not working on the face. Now if you notice, I changed my layer type to multiply so that it's a bit transparent. It still retains the texture of the underneath layer of the face, so that's why I'm working with a separate layer. So I'm just trying the makeup. I was using my eraser just because the line doesn't go across the eye, it's just underneath and on top. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm using my eraser right there just to erase, get the shape of those lines. Then I saved it, then I clicked on her face to import the what I just did. So I'm trying to check if I like it. So I think it was a bit not giving. So that's what I'm trying to change. And at first I was getting a bit scared, like, oh, this is too red. I think I actually changed later on. I changed the opacity of those lines. I made them a little bit lighter. It was too red. I was like, God, myself. I was doing it at night. I was like, okay. So right here I'm in edit avatar. So I want her to smile. Pennywise, it has a smile, but I didn't want her to like smile too much, just a little bit. So that's what I did there, just editing her face a bit. So I'm trying to check from my offline render if it's okay. So that's what I'm doing now. So I'm just trying to clean up, check, adjust. It wasn't really bending a bit. This is where I reduced the opacity more because it's too red. I was like, I don't want it to be too scary. So I'm just checking and trying to see if it looks good. Now this is the final piece. Now you notice her hair is orange. I forgot to mention I also changed the color of my hair, and I imported